strong leaders need to be honest with themselves, their teams, and with the business about where the success is and where the success isn't, and be agile enough to be able to drive further into the areas where there is success and to be able to pull the brakes back on the areas that just aren't working as well.
Welcome to CMOs Unscripted, real talk with today's top marketing leaders. No filters, no fluff, just bold insights and honest conversations that cut through the noise. I'm Lisa Martin. Here to talk about demand generation strategies and the evolution of it is my colleague and friend, Diana Eadington, Chief Marketing Officer at FE fundinfo. Diana is an experienced marketing leader. We go way back. She develops, she plans, she executes and optimizes GTM strategies that drive growth across key industries and market segments for B2B SaaS, tech, and fintech companies ranging from startups to Fortune 500 enterprises. To deliver exceptional results, which Diana always does, she really focuses on a number of things. One is identifying talent and building effective teams. The other is driving growth in new markets by designing and executing ahead of the curve, integrated and customer-focused sales-aligned strategies. And the third, delivering ROI through pipeline growth and bookings impact. We're going to be talking a lot about bookings impact going forward. Diana, welcome. Great to have you on the program. Tell the audience a little bit more about you and maybe a fun fact.
Hi, Lisa. Yes, thank you for inviting me to be on your program. It's great to be here. So my name is Diana Eadington again. Fun fact about me, I originally come from Lake Tahoe, but 3.5 years ago, I had a professional opportunity to up and move to London, and I've been located in London in the UK since, and having a great experience, not only professionally, but also being able to have a life experience that matches well with my professional path.
I love that. I love London. It's one of my absolute favorite cities. It's like New York. You can't be bored in London, right? There's always so much to do. Yes. And good shopping
it's
too.
So true. Great shopping, great food, great access to travel, and all around super midlife experience, given
Awesome.
I have 3 kids that are all recently out of the house and in university or beyond. So I'm trying to make the most of it.
Awesome. I love it. Good for you. Talk a little bit about FE fundinfo. Give the audience the context about the organization and what you guys are doing.
Yeah. So FE fundinfo is a UK headquartered international financial data company. It's actually been in existence for over 20 years. It's a conglomeration of companies that have come together through merger and acquisition over that time period. And FE fundinfo serves the UK, EMEA, APAC, and Australia. It's not in the US market, where most of my background and professional experience lies, but it is in an intersection between financial services and technology. Of course, technology is my background career-wise and my sweet spot. And what FE fundinfo does is connect the ecosystem of asset managers and wealth managers through a financial data platform that provides services and products as investors develop and bring their investment products to different markets. And so we help them to produce those the required reporting and marketing and sales documentation, the registration and filing, and disseminate their products in different markets where they want to find wealth managers or buyers.
Excellent. What an interesting opportunity. You and I go back to our Druva days, which I want to say goes back to 2019, pre-COVID, which still seems so long ago. But you were always somebody I admired from a demand generation campaigns perspective. But demand generation has changed so much. We talk now about marketing being an art, this pendulum of art and science. Talk a little bit about where demand generation is today and how it's evolving, especially as we are now living in this era of AI.
Yeah, it's really interesting. been in marketing for over 20 years. And from over that time period, and everybody who's been in marketing for probably more than 5 years can testify to the amount of change and the rapidity of change that that the function is going through and continues to go through. Where it used to be, you could call it like an activities-based function, supporting events and programs that educate your customers and clients and engage them. But in the last 10 to 15 years, demand generation has really surfaced as a way to drive growth. And when done well, the marketing function can actually be a really important member of the commercial go-to-market team, supporting the sales motion and actually measuring all the way from a lead through bookings impact. So the transition, I think, in demand generation and in marketing overall has really been enabled by, firstly, the ability to make data-driven decisions. Then the burgeoning of predictive analytics, which has been followed by AI. And then at the same time, just the expectation that marketing is run efficiently and is a contributor to the commercial objectives of the company. So yeah, I've really seen a shift in the accountability level of marketing leaders and marketing teams to be able to understand what their contribution is. When a company gives an investment of budget to a marketing leader and to a team, the leader needs to be able to say what that gives back to the company. So I think gone are the days when marketing budgets are ascribed without knowing what the impact is. Maybe more in the consumer space where it's a little bit harder to measure. You could see a little bit more give, but in the B2B space, I think, every amount of spend can be measured back to an outcome or a lack of an outcome. And
Right.
As a leader, I think you need to be accountable to knowing what's working and what doesn't work.
I agree. I think the shift in accountability is really key. And it also, I think, strengthens marketing because it's not gone are the days of, it's MQLs. It's actually, how are we impacting the business from a bookings perspective? I think that accountability really strengthens the CMO role and really cements it as a strategic lever within the organization.
That's right. And I think strong leaders need to be honest with themselves, their teams, and with the business about where the success is and where the success isn't,
Yes.
and be agile enough to be able to drive further into the areas where there is success and to be able to pull the brakes back on the areas that just aren't working as well. And that can be hard because it requires a level of agility that not everyone is comfortable with. And you mentioned people and building teams at the beginning of the intro. To have an agile organization and also keep your people on board as you optimize your go-to-market strategy, which means you're probably going to be pivoting on a fairly regular basis until you really understand your sweet spot in the market and you can drive a replicable motion that gets you to the volume that you need on opportunity creation. You really have to kind of balance that outcome and keeping everyone on the team involved and motivated and engaged through the different change periods.
The agility piece you brought up is critical. I think cultures have to be agile these days. The technology is moving so incredibly quickly, and it's not going to slow down anytime soon. Nobody wants less data slower. We know this. Marketing has become so data-driven, which I love about it. But the key is having teams that understand how to be agile, why they need to be agile, so that marketing is really impacting the business. What are some of the key measurements and KPIs that are really critical to measure these days to show that bookings impact? Like I said, maybe the MQL is dead, for example.
Yeah, I think when I started in demand generation, we used to start measuring at the lead, and then we would go further down the sales funnel from the lead. I think now, I'm starting by measuring from an expected bookings impact and working backwards to build the funnel from bookings back versus lead forward. So I would say, ultimately, I think the most important KPI is the bookings impact that marketing can make. And that's going to be done in partnership with the commercial organization, the CRO and the sales team.
Right.
So it needs to be like marketing needs to be really tightly aligned with sales and a true partner to sales. So if you think of a team, you've got the way that I think about it, that we think about things in my company and my team now are that to win, if you're playing a game, the team wins the game. It's not an individual. So as an individual functional leader, you don't win if you do a great job in your function in a silo. You really, the win is when you win as a team. And so having your KPIs set as a team, with accountability, with your stakeholders, whether that's the product team, the sales team, the tech team, there are different stakeholders that all play a really important role in bringing valuable products to market and to customers who might need them. And there's a whole life cycle behind it. And so KPI wise, I'd start with bookings, and then stepping it back from marketing, pipeline would be the next one. And then from the pipeline, how many meetings are required to generate that pipeline, and really having a strong understanding through the product marketing function and rev ops around, what the ASPs are, or average sales prices of different products and service lines, what the timeframes are for open to close, what market segments and geos products are a good fit in, and then how do you articulate your value proposition and show proof of value through either ROI modeling or customer references.
Yes.
Having a clearly articulated value proposition that's clear, that people understand, and being able to reach your target market through the right channels.
Absolutely. And that's key. And I imagine there's many levers that you have to pull geo by geo, but you mentioned the CRO and sales alignment. You own the BDR function. That's something, Diana, I'm seeing increasingly as the CMOs I have on this program owning BDRs. You also talked about the partnership with sales. It has to be collaborative, has to be a two-way street, but also I think it needs to be, there's skin in the game on both sides. How do you get, from an integrated marketing perspective, that sales alignment and maintain it so that you're feeding those BDRs with probably more accurate information on their customers with things like generative AI than we've had before?
Yeah, I mean, firstly, it has to be a partner. It does have to be a partnership across the organization. So, really looking at company objectives as a team is the starting point. And I think a lot of that gets set from the CEO, down to the, like the directs of the CEO down to the teams. And so the tone, I think, gets set by the leadership of the organization about how the teams work together. And when you have that strong teaming and you view shared goals, I think having shared corporate objectives is another method to get everybody working towards the outcomes that the company is striving towards. So rather than ascribing functional goals at the very top level, if you have corporate objectives that multiple functions feed into, then the teams can naturally work together to achieve them. And when you start measuring yourself against a shared goal, you start seeing the behavior that drives that outcome.
Right.
So, I'd say, having that shared goal, having strong communications. I mean, it's kind of like whether it's your social life or your professional life, or whether, you're in different industries, like being able to communicate well with the people that you're working with is really important. And
absolutely,
when you're doing hard things, which a lot of people do when you're in a business context and you're trying to drive a growth model, you're going to have stuff that comes like more easily, and you're going to have obstacles that you have to navigate. Right. And so I always think, navigating the obstacles is the hard part, because you have to then lean on, really having alignment around what the objectives are, strong communications, making sure teams stay together and can work through, issues, whether it's resource constraints. Maybe you don't have the right message bringing it into the market. There might be a product issue that you need to solve. So you have to be able to troubleshoot and understand what's working smoothly and where's the friction, and be able to work that out.
Yep.
And so anyways, back to the CRO partnership with the CMO. I think of the chief product officer, the CFO, like we're all kind of the support team in a sense for the chief revenue officer who's bringing the responsibility to land the number for a company. So, I think it's also perspective.
I like how you talked about shared goals. I think that's absolutely critical because then everyone has skin in the game. We're working towards bookings, we're working towards revenue, we have shared goals. It probably makes the partnership and really the understanding of marketing across functions, across the chief product officer, the chief financial officer, the chief revenue officer, much more understandable. I want to talk now about how the buyer's journey has changed. I heard a stat the other day from a CMO, global CMO here out of the States, who said the average buyer does 17 different interactions with a brand before they get to the brand. What are some of the numbers that you're seeing, and how do you adjust the fact that buyers are so self-driven these days?
Yeah.
How has that
Yeah, I mean,
evolved?
I think it just drives home the importance of being visible on multiple channels and really understanding what channels your buyers are on, whether that's, what the digital channels, are they accessible on email? Do they go to events? Do they, you really have to understand, where to find your target market. The other thing is like sectors operate differently. So coming out of the US tech market, where buyers are very digital savvy, like tech forward. It's different than right now, the sector I'm in, financial services and asset management. Like there's a very heavy relationship orientation in the sector. And so, the channels that we use are bespoke to how our customers like to engage. So we offer more opportunities for education, networking, coming together and, kind of learning types of environments. And we can offer those in person or through webinar or strong content programs. But we see a lot of engagement when we have really valuable content to offer. And we also see, more than other sectors that I've worked in, a real a strong sense of value of personal relationships and networking. And so we lean into that as something that's a little bit unique about our sector as well.
I like that. But you bring up a great point. Regardless of sector, regardless of the products and services that you're marketing, you need to go where the customer is because that's what they expect. They play in their comfort zone. And so it's up to brands like yours to understand, where are they? What channels are they interacting with? What types of content are they looking for? And to your point, how heavy is the lean into the relationships? And I think that's fantastic that you're seeing that, because at the end of the day, it is all about relationships. But how do you determine, given consumers these days are so used to getting the Amazon effect, right? Anything we want 24/7, and the offers are going to be personalized. They're going to be contextually relevant. They're not going to be creepy. How do you identify the right content mix based on this expectation of this personalized customer journey?
Yeah, I mean, it's true. I think regardless of the sector or industry that you're in, the expectation is that content will be personalized, that you'll have, there's not like a broad reach marketing has kind of gone into the past. So things are much more targeted towards a persona kind of experience. So again, like going back to understanding, what makes life better for your customer on a day-to-day basis. What can you offer that will get their attention to make a change from the status quo? Because oftentimes, your competition is the status quo. It's easier to just keep things going as is versus implementing a change. So you have to have a strong proposition of why you can offer something that's worth going through that change process, whether that's moving away from another vendor or doing something in-house. And I think with the arrival of AI, we're seeing a lot of really interesting impacts to marketing and to consumer expectations. one example is just around search, like how organic search operates with the increase of people who are using ChatGPT and AI engine.
Yes.
The way that a website's optimized is shifting. And so if you want to be visible and findable through AI engines, it's going to be a different set of optimizations, like technical optimizations for SEO than what you do for Google. So staying on top of like what does the shift in buyer behavior mean if you're in marketing and you're trying to stay one step ahead. And then AI, of course, is supporting content development, tone of voice. We're using it in our BDR models. So there's some really interesting use cases that are starting to come through kind of regular usage tools.
What are some of those AI, sorry, Diana, what are some of those AI use cases that you're seeing now are positively impacting bookings? Which you said, you work backwards for that because it's all about bookings impact.
Yeah. I mean, one that we're piloting right now is around using agentic AI to support broader capacity in our BDR functions. So using agentic AI to support very well-defined sales plays against very specific target lists or if you've got a target base and you've got a really clean offer and messaging script, we're starting to experiment with that on the BDR front. And if that is a better way to engage a very top of funnel conversation, where you can bring the human into the loop once you understand if there's an interest, that can help us do more with a finite set of people on our BDR team. So we're trying to expand our efficiency by using AI. On the other side, in product marketing and in the campaign side of the house, AI can be a great tool for content development and content generation. And if you've got access to a fine-tuned large language model that is, if you have one in your business or you've got access to a fine-tuned model for your business, that can be really interesting in helping to generate content more efficiently and in broader scale than it takes with pure people power. Those are some of the use cases that I'm seeing and that we're taking advantage of.
And how are emerging technologies like AI, and it's accelerating so fast. And it's not going to slow down. I think ChatGPT was born a couple years ago, 2.5 years ago, and it just went up and to the right, even though AI has been around for decades. But you talked about agentic AI. That's the big focus. I was just at a big technology conference last week, and the whole focus is on agentic transformation. We were living with digital transformation for 15 years. But how do you see AI positively impacting the ability to generate demand and to deliver that personalized buyer's journey at a pace that is maybe accelerated to get to bookings faster?
Yeah, that's such a great question. I can't say that I've mastered that. I came from an AI company prior to, when one of my former companies it's an AI company.
Right.
And the technology is just, it's moving very quickly. It's changing industries and workflows across broadly. It's changing workflows and in marketing, particularly where things can be automated that take a heavy lift. That's where I think we're starting to see the low hanging fruit. So taking things like there's like the search function, which is key to being visible, and optimizing your SEO for AI engines. The content development process for content-driven marketing is long known to be very effective, and it takes a lot of time to develop good content.
Yes.
So being able to use AI to generate strong content or derivative content, I think, is a great opportunity area. And then just expanding limited resources, like anywhere that you have heavy workflows, where you can drive more efficiency or get greater impacts, I think is ripe opportunity for AI. And again, I look forward to the next few years to see really where the strongest use cases surface. I think they're going to be heavily weighted towards content and SEO, but I think I'll defer to other experts who are more savvy in that space than me.
But it's going to evolve. I mean, it's evolving every nanosecond, for example. But my last question to you is, I love how you talked about shared goals, collaboration, and the team needing to be agile. What's your recommendation for other CMOs or prospective CMOs who need to really infuse a culture of agility so that they can see the bookings impact and demonstrate clearly the marketing value prop to the organization? Well, how do you advise that they approach that?
I mean, I think a lot of what you need to do depends on the size of organization and kind of this, like, where your organization is. So being able to adapt to the requirements of your organization are kind of key at a first level, because different organizations are going to move at different paces of growth. Yes. And there'll be different sizes. Like if you're in a scale up company, it's much different than being in a Fortune 500 company. But I think the last 6 years I've spent in growth companies. So, and I've done a lot of building of like team building, and then also reorienting teams to be more focused around commercial objectives of the company. So I would say, like, from a growth kind of smaller sized growth company, so mid-sized or more startup sized, kind of in that range, I would say having your core functions in place is really important. So, product marketing, demand generation, marketing operations, brand and comms, or some kind of external comms that gives you visibility in the market. And then the BDR function and a strong partnership with sales. Do you have a channel strategy? And then how's your relationship with the product team, so that that end to end the products, there's a continuous motion of developing products that are relevant to the market. Yes. That you're supporting, marketing is supporting bringing those products to market with the right value propositions and proof points through the right channels, opening the door for conversations that are fit for the sales organization to take forward and actually place those products into client accounts and complete the full life cycle with a strong customer support function, so that you can drive a circular growth model. So I think just having those core functions in place and setting the mindset with the team that it's going to be an agile exercise, that it's not, I don't think, at least like the companies I've been working in, the roles in marketing aren't clearly defined on a page that you start on day one, and then it's the same role, it's the same role 6, 9, 12 months later.
But I think that agility kind of reflects why we named the show CMOs Unscripted. There is no script. You have to be agile today with the acceleration of technology, the expectations of more personalization on the customer level. Hey, meet me where I am. That agility and that flexibility is just foundational to successful cultures and ultimately doing what you want to do, and that is deliver bookings to the organization. Diana, thank you so much for joining me on the program, talking about FE fundinfo, what you guys are doing, how you've seen demand generation evolve, how you're really infusing a culture of agility to ultimately deliver what the customer is looking for, the right product fit in the right market at the right time to drive those bookings. We really appreciate all of your insights and your wisdom. Thank you.
Thank you for having me on the show, Lisa.
It was a pleasure. Awesome.
Thanks.
For Diana Eadington, I'm Lisa Martin. You're watching CMOs Unscripted. Be sure to subscribe in YouTube, and we'll see you in 2 weeks with a new episode.